Let's start with an uncomfortable truth. Smoking feels good. Genuinely good. That's not a controversial opinion, it's the entire reason this is hard to fix. Smoking creates a small, short-term itch and then scratches it immediately. Once your brain has adapted to nicotine, going without it makes you restless and on edge for up to 3 days straight. And then one single drag makes all of that vanish in seconds. But it's not only physical. That's what makes this so much darker than people assume. Why it feels so good. Smoking sharpens concentration. It's a built-in excuse to step away and take a break, which genuinely helps your mental state. It kills boredom, it suppresses appetite, it makes bad moments more bearable and good moments better. It's social. Smokers find each other, bond over it, build friendships around it, and on top of all that, your lips are some of the most nerve-dense, sensitive skin on your body. So there's a simple physical satisfaction in just having something there. Now that we've been fully honest about why it works, let's actually light one up and find out what's happening underneath. Light one up. A cigarette is tobacco plus a cocktail of chemical additives engineered to burn slowly so you absorb more nicotine per drag, wrapped around flavoring compounds that soften the harshness of the smoke. Light it. About 95% of that smoke is just carbon dioxide and water vapor. The remaining 5% is where it gets interesting. A cloud of particles called tar carrying the one ingredient that actually matters: nicotine, bound up in carbon and nitrogen compounds. The journey into your body. The moment you inhale, billions of these particles slam into everything in their path: tongue, throat, windpipe, before pushing deeper. Picture your lungs as an inflatable sponge with a built-in filtration system. Cells lined with hair-like structures called cilia, sitting under a layer of mucus. Together, they trap dust and bacteria and sweep them back out in a constant, coordinated motion. A cleaning crew that never clocks out. Tar wrecks that system. It turns the mucus into a thick, sticky, brown sludge that jams the sweeping motion and paralyzes the cilia outright. With the cleanup crew disabled, tar particles travel further than they ever should, all the way down to the alveoli, the tiny air sacs where actual gas exchange happens. Their walls are almost impossibly thin, built that way on purpose so oxygen can cross into your blood and carbon dioxide can cross out. And that's exactly where nicotine slips through, straight through those paper-thin walls into your bloodstream and to your brain in what feels like an instant. The chemical fireworks. If your brain had a single control panel, smoking would hit every button on it at once, dumping a flood of hormones and signaling molecules across your entire body. Epinephrine and cortisol kick your heart rate up and put your body on alert. Dopamine brings a rush of pleasure, relaxation, and appetite suppression. Beta endorphins dull pain and stress. Put together, nicotine somehow winds you up and calms you down at the exact same time. Sharper focus, more receptive nerves, a body that's both alert and relaxed. It's an incredible feeling, which is exactly the problem. The rebound trap. Your brain doesn't like being pushed this far off its baseline, so it immediately starts fighting to pull itself back to normal. As long as nicotine is still in your blood, that tug of war stays invisible. You just feel good. But once the nicotine fades, that correction has nothing left to push against, and it overshoots hard, throwing you completely off balance. The more you smoke, the harder your brain pushes back each time. That's the real engine of nicotine addiction. Without it, you no longer feel like yourself. It's still enjoyable, but now it's also required, just to feel normal. If nicotine were the only thing in play here, that might almost be a fair trade. It isn't. The other 4,000 chemicals. Nicotine never travels alone. It brings along cadmium, lead, arsenic, cyanide compounds, hydrogen peroxide, nitrogen oxides, and every one of them causes damage wherever it lands. Carbon monoxide cuts your blood's oxygen-carrying capacity, your cilia keep suffering, some die outright under tar-clogged mucus that's now too thick to clear. Your alveoli, built for gentle gas exchange and nothing rougher, can't handle the assault. Some of these tiny sacs burst like overinflated balloons, and that damage doesn't heal. Your body panics and tries to clear the tar however it can. Goblet cells pump out extra mucus, which only makes breathing harder. You cough, trying to expel all of it. Your immune system sends in macrophages to physically engulf tar particles. Smokers build up far more of these cleanup cells simply because there's so much more mess to clean. But nicotine makes even the macrophages sluggish and inefficient. Worse, they start releasing chemicals that break down lung tissue itself, leaving behind tiny wounds that scar over. If you'd like to keep breathing easily for the rest of your life, scar tissue on your lungs is not what you want. want. Whole body collateral damage. Nicotine speeds up your heart rate and constricts blood vessels throughout your entire body. Meanwhile, toxic compounds lodge themselves everywhere, causing countless microscopic wounds that also scar. Proteins leak out of that scar tissue, clump together, and narrow the vessels even further. Narrower vessels mean your heart has to work harder with every single beat just to keep blood moving. In your skin, these same chemicals trigger enzymes that break down collagen, the protein responsible for elasticity and smoothness. The result? Wrinkles and skin that visibly ages faster than it should. Possibly the worst hit lands on your immune system. It's simultaneously overreacting, attacking an invisible enemy across your whole body and damaging healthy tissue in the process, and underperforming because nicotine has made it sluggish against the infections and diseases it's actually supposed to fight. The long game. We could keep going organ by organ because virtually every one of them takes damage in some irreversible way. Over time, fat builds up inside increasingly narrow blood vessels until your organs are essentially being strangled of blood supply. Your overworked heart has to beat harder and harder to force blood through the blockage, and your blood pressure climbs, sometimes high enough that fluid leaks out of vessels and into the lungs, making breathing even harder. A blood clot lodged in the wrong place can trigger a heart attack or a stroke. Nearly every long-term smoker eventually develops chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, so many alveoli destroyed beyond repair that you're permanently short of breath and can never fully catch it again. Once that starts, it only ever gets worse, never better. And then there's cancer. This is a genuine double blow. You're flooding your body, and especially your lungs, with at least 70 confirmed carcinogens, while simultaneously disabling the exact immune mechanisms that would normally hunt down and kill cancer cells before they take hold. That combination is why cancer rates are so dramatically elevated in smokers. Of everything you're legally allowed to do to yourself, smoking is arguably uniquely dangerous. On average, smokers lose about 10 years of life expectancy, but that average hides a huge range. Some lose 5 years, others lose 25, and there's no way to know in advance which group you'll fall into. It also front-loads chronic illness into a much larger share of the years you do get. The numbers. So why don't smokers just quit? They're often labeled weak or undisciplined, which is genuinely unfair. Nicotine ranks among the most physically and psychologically addictive substances we know of. Once you start, there's a real chance you'll be managing this for the rest of your life. The physical withdrawal typically fades within about 3 days. The psychological dependence is the harder fight. Smoking builds deep habitual grooves and gets fused to social triggers. Hanging out with friends, decompressing after a hard day, the ritual itself. Here's the part that should sting. Most smokers pick up their very first cigarette as teenagers. For the tobacco industry to survive, it needs to hook developing, more impressionable teenage brains on nicotine's pleasant effects before those brains are equipped to evaluate the trade-off. Roughly 1 billion people will light a cigarette today. That's a staggering number, but the long-term trend is genuinely improving. Global adult smoking rates dropped from around 34% in 2000 to about 23% by 2020. Still, roughly 8 million people died from smoking-related causes in a single recent year. Not all doom. None of this is as hopeless as it sounds. There are genuinely effective strategies for quitting, and people use them successfully every day. If you quit before your mid-30s, your life expectancy lines up with people who never smoked at all. Even later in life, quitting still buys back real years. It's a bit like climate change. The damage already done doesn't disappear, but every bit of progress from here still counts. We're not here to play morality police or health police. Your life is yours, but you should go into it with your eyes open about exactly what you're trading and why. Statistically, most people watching this don't smoke. So here's the simplest advice in this entire video: just don't start. Smoking solves a problem that only lasts a few minutes and hands you consequences that can last a lifetime. If you enjoyed this video and want to support us, subscribe to the channel. It genuinely helps us a lot, because the next topic is going to be just as surprising.